I talk a lot about mods on this channel, mostly for Crusader Kings 3, which those of you who know me know is my main bread and butter content. For those of you who don't, I'm SoulTomato, and I love modders and everything they do. I do interviews with them, I showcase their lore, and I otherwise gush over the ambition, the drive, and the genuine passion these independent teams showcase on the daily. To me, they represent the pinnacle of what it is to be a gamer, to make a game better and to give that back to the community for it to be reworked and improved again and again so the game can be enjoyed for years to come. But this love for modding, or rather modders, did not begin with Crusader Kings 3. No, that appreciation is much older, and so today I thought it might be fun to step away from Crusader Kings 3 for a little while and look at 5 of my favorite non-CK3 mods, some of which I've been playing for years at this point, so I figured I might as well talk about them. I have mentioned a few of these here on the channel before in passing and even made a video for one of them. Still, I'd like to properly acknowledge and give them a few minutes of my time so I can share my own experience and hopefully convince you to try them out for yourself. With that out of the way, I'm SoulTomato, and this is a modded CK3 YouTuber's 5 favorite non-CK3 mods. Prophecy of Pendor. Our first mod on the list, Prophecy of Pendor, is also the only one I've made a video for as of right now on this channel. In my opinion, Prophecy of Pendor for Mount and Blade Warband, already one of the greatest sandbox strategy games of all time, is exactly what a good total conversion mod should be. It elevates the base game formula with its fantasy world of kingdoms, demons, knights, elves, and quests, and feels more like an official DLC than a mod at times. Although it is brutally difficult, especially at the start, getting over that initial early game hump can be daunting for players without several hundred hours in the base game Warband already. It is one of the few mods I have revisited that are as good as I remember, even years after the fact. I love that it had a relative story and end goal for you to achieve what would take you at least 100 hours by most measures, and that the world just felt alive, no matter if it actually wasn't or not. It just felt like you were a part of something bigger than yourself and you were actually incorporated and participating in that world, which I think is something that a lot of mods and games in general strive for. There's always something to do in Pendor, whether it's founding your own knightly order, befriending the elves, trading goods, or facing off against hordes of undead. In all of my hundreds of hours of Warband, many of which are not counted because Steam doesn't count offline hours, this mod made up at least half the time. At least. If you've never tried it or have been on the fence to do so, give my video or one of the many hundreds of others a look and see if it's to your liking. But I promise, as a longtime Warband enthusiast, it is simply one of the best things out there, in my opinion. Tamriel Rebuilt. Easily the oldest and longest running mod on this list, Tamriel Rebuilt is perhaps the absolute peak, the zenith of what a dedicated mod team should strive to be and what it should look like. For a project which began all the way back in 2001 before Morrowind even came out, to still be going strong with frequent updates and several massive DLC-sized land expansions with hundreds of new items, NPCs, quests, lore, it's honestly staggering. For those of you who don't know, Tamriel Rebuilt is a mod which aims to recreate continental Morrowind as close to lore accurate as possible and with a quality consistent to or better than the base game. Not only this, but with some of the mod releases now almost approaching 20 years old themselves, even old territories are getting reworked to match the current quality of its newer releases. I genuinely don't know of another mod team with such a long history that is still being worked on with such passion and drive. Sure, the modding community at large has seen major total conversion teams take a decade or more to work on and release a project, but Tamriel Rebuilt is to me the archetype of what makes this hobby special. Fans going above and beyond the original developers to the point they have become superior to the creators in most respects, and releasing genuinely awe-inspiring content for players to enjoy for hundreds of hours. Outside of classic Fallout's very niche group of modders, I genuinely can't think of a more dedicated fan base. If you love the Elder Scrolls, and especially Morrowind, and if you've never tried Tamriel Rebuilt, I give you express permission right now to turn off this video and go download it. It works perfectly with OpenMW. There are plenty of videos explaining how to install it from start to finish, and you will be anything but wanting for things to do in its sprawling landscapes. The Chronicles of Myrtana, Archolos. The first of our mods that is basically just its own game, Chronicles of Myrtana Archolos, is a total conversion mod for one of my personal favorite RPGs of all time, Gothic 2. I recognize that for many, you either played games like Final Fantasy VII as a kid, or you played things like Gothic. I was a Gothic kid. And I'd like to imagine it colored my preference for singular non-party based RPGs, which I almost never play now. I didn't even finish Baldur's Gate 3, for example. Anyway, released December 2021, Archolos is a completely new open world game with full voice acting, over 170 quests, and around an 80-hour runtime. This mod blew me away when I played it back in 2022. Not only because it felt very much like Gothic 2 did when I played it as a kid, something that alone is worthy of praise, but because it felt like its own world. Like there was a reason to explore it, because there was something worth finding in its hidden and often dangerous nooks and crannies. And when back in its sprawling city, it felt like a living, breathing medieval society that I was a part of, which you can tell as a theme in this video. I wasn't the hero, I was just some castaway trying desperately to deal with my own small problems in a much larger conflict. I've always felt that the Gothic games had this uncanny ability to, despite not actually being very big, feel massive, to feel like every nook and cranny had something worth exploring and worth seeing, that every moment of progress was earned, not given as you made your way from the lower to the upper echelons of society based on your own decisions and at your own pace within the faction of your choice. The best way I can relate this to a modern sense for, you gamers who have never played Gothic would be like Kingdom Come Deliverance and its recent sequel, which both allow players near total freedom to exist in a medieval society, be it as a thief, a blacksmith, a hunter, or a noble knight. Archolos is no different, but with the added bonus that there's magic in this world too. Fans of Gothic have almost undoubtedly already played this mod, but if you somehow haven't and you were curious about Gothic, then let me assure you, the controls are modern user-friendly, and although it is difficult at times, the progression system is incredibly rewarding. It runs fantastic, has unbelievable voice acting, and a pretty solid story for being a literal fan-made game, and all you have to do to download it on Steam is to own Gothic 2 Gold, which at the time of making this video is about $20 US. Enderal, the Shards of Order. Enderal, perhaps the most well-known of all the mods on this list, at least I'd have to guess. I don't think I need to give a ton of justification for this one, to be honest. I probably saw 2 new video essays for it this week alone. It's literally its own game in Skyrim's engine with its own lore, characters, items, and landscape. The story is genuinely fantastic, and the side characters are written beautifully, all fully voice acted as well. Honestly, when I played it a few years ago, and my fiance came in the room and was watching it, she's a longtime Skyrim player herself, she looked at the screen and she said, "Why does this look like Skyrim, but better?" This coming from a woman who has played at least 3,000 hours in Skyrim since it came out. If that isn't a ringing endorsement, nothing will be. I think out of all the mods on this list, I'd probably recommend this one to people first. Skyrim is a very user-friendly game, and if you're familiar with its controls, then you'll have no issue jumping into this one. Again, this one also is a little more difficult at the start, and it might look a little dated now because Skyrim's an old game, but you can also mod this one with shaders and such if you like. It's just Skyrim's engine. There are even dedicated sub-mods for Enderal. It's almost a decade old at this point, and so of course there would be. I love this mod. Some of the most fun I've had playing any modded game ever. If I had to be honest with you, I would be a fool not to recommend it, but for the sake of your own enjoyment, I want to spoil it as little as possible, so let's just leave it at that. Enderal is a wonderful, wonderful mod. There's many great videos on it if you want to check it out. Misery. Our final mod is the only non-medieval mod on this list, and maybe to some the most surprising addition. Misery is an ancient and hallowed mod to the Stalker community. Before there was Gamma, before there was Anomaly, before there was even Call of Chernobyl, remember that one? There was Misery, a mod which aimed at completely overhauling Stalker from the ground up to enhance the difficulty by increasing the danger and adding various survival and crafting elements to enhance and tailor to your specific playstyle. I don't often talk about my love for Stalker on this channel because it's not relevant. Shockingly, it doesn't come up when I play Crusader Kings 3, but for many years I would make a digital pilgrimage to the zone around autumn, and that journey was one often accompanied by misery. I remember long hours spent just sitting in Zatan, hunting boar and bloodsuckers as a sniper character and harvesting their skin or valuable organs for rubles, earning enough to upgrade my gear or buy much needed supplies and actually survive firefights. The mod wasn't perfect. In fact, you could definitely say it was made to be unfair towards the player. You'd get sniped from enemies across the map through foliage by a shotgun, blasted by mutants who you swore you should have killed, and run into a host of bugs, or as it's more appropriate to call them, anomalies. But it remains a fond memory of gaming from a time when Stalker modding was still finding its feet. Today, most people are either playing Stalker 2 or the open world Gamma or Anomaly mod packs. To be honest, I don't know if I'd actually recommend someone play Misery in 2025. I don't know how it would run at these days. But before our polished mod packs of carefully crafted ideas and dreams, we had Misery. And despite the name, we were more than happy to make our way through it. When the dust settles and all is said and done, if this is to be a video of my favorite mods, then this one absolutely has to be on here because I have spent so much time with it and I think about this one often. And that, my friends, is going to be it for this one. I hope you enjoyed this video. A short little one today, but I wanted to share some mods with you and hopefully encourage you to give them a try. Let me know down in the comments if you have any other mods that you would suggest. There's a bunch of great Total War mods that I didn't mention. I love Medieval 2. There's a million mods. You could probably make a video about Medieval 2 mods by itself. But admittedly, I haven't been playing Medieval 2 recently or in a while, so I'm less familiar with them than I used to be. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. I want to thank my channel members for their continued support. And in particular, I want to thank my Paladin tier members. Those are Dwayne the Rock Lobster, Zora Luigi, Dunyal, Valadar, Lackland, Grayzo, Candriff, Shadow King Drakon, and Titus. You guys are awesome. If you would like to become a channel member, or if you've ever considered becoming a channel member, you can do so through the membership tab. Nights and above get videos 2 to 3 days early, depending on how I'm feeling. And yeah, that's it for me. As always, I'm Soul, and I will happily see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.